Hey everybody, welcome back to round 36 of Inside the Clinch. Your boys Johnny and Eric are back for another week of MMA. Johnny, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing good. I'm kind of tired. I had a long day. Glad to be here with you. This is my hour break that I'm giving myself, and back to work right after this. So it's good to be joining you again. Thank you for holding down the fort last week. Um, I listened to it. Good job for your first time. I know you never recorded a podcast by yourself, so I just wanted to thank you for taking one for the team and for doing a great job, buddy.
Appreciate it. I gotta say, it is very awkward and like weird doing it by yourself. It's kind of like you're just talking to yourself. Like at least with you, I get feedback. We get to bounce off each other's ideas. But hey, man, great to have you back, and hope we don't really miss you again.
Yeah, how was your weekend? How was the UFC for you?
UFC was great. UFC 265 was an amazing card. In my opinion, the main event was a little bit anticlimactic compared to the rest of the card. I feel like the rest of the card was a lot more fast paced. We had a lot of good finishes. But once we got to the main event, it was a bit more of a technical and slower paced fight. But yeah, we'll get into the details.
Yeah, who would you watch it with? We usually watch together. This week I had a little
Yeah, you
birthday
broke my
party
heart
Tits
this
had.
weekend, man.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry about that, but who'd you end up watching it with?
Our boys Kevin and Larry came through, and Sammy Chucks came by also. So it was a small group, but we had a good turnout nonetheless.
Yeah, shout out Sammy. We got to get her on the pod soon.
For sure. She's training with some of the beasts over at Longo. And she is the nunchuck queen, man.
She
She's
could
really
probably
fucking
beat
good.
up. She could probably beat up most of the people at Law MMA. I'm not gonna lie. Like that girl's legit. Like she's. I don't know about fighting, but her flexibility and her like kung fu gymnastic ability is absolutely insane.
She was
And
actually rating a lot of the kicks that were happening this weekend. So it was actually pretty cool to watch it with her. She's like, oh, that was like an 8, but like, oh shit, that one was a 10. Like some of Fiziev's kicks, she was really, saying good things about. So it's great to have someone with like some striking knowledge because, the two of us, we have a lot of grappling and wrestling knowledge, not too much on the striking side. So the balance is good.
yeah, we should definitely give her a date and get her on the podcast. But before that, we do have Miranda Maverick coming on the podcast sometime later this week. So that should be a fun one.
Yeah, we're excited for that one. That's going to be our next big interview. A pretty big UFC star. She just came off a very controversial loss, in my opinion, to Macy Barber, but we'll get into all that later this week. Let's talk UFC 265, man.
Let's do
So
it.
I'm going to read off the results from UFC 265, starting with the early prelims. To start off the evening, we had Johnny Munoz submitting Jamie Simmons. Following that, we had Melissa Gatto defeating Victoria Leonardo via doctor stoppage after the second round. And this is where the early prelims got interesting. We had Miles John with a huge knockout finish over Anderson Dos Santos. It was just over a minute into the third round. Man, that was beautiful, just beautiful knockout. He worked the body and caught him with the hook to the head and just put the lights out. Then to wrap up the early prelims, we had Manel taking on Odie Osborne. And what the hell, man? That was a beautiful, I think one of the nicest finishes of the evening. At 4 minutes, 44 seconds of the first round, he pulled a flying knee out of nowhere. I was watching the replay. It was really beautiful to see how he was slowly pulling his opponent towards him and kind of baiting that reaction for a takedown. And that's when he just flew in with a beautiful flying knee and finished him.
Yeah, I actually had Osborne as the underdog in that fight. I thought I didn't know if he would win, but like he was the underdog, and I took him. I took a loss with that. But you know what? Manel. I'm gonna call him Manel Cape because we're in America. So, you know who he kind of reminds me of? He kind of reminds me of Joaquin Buckley. Joaquin Buckley had that
Yeah.
beautiful knockout, and then all went downhill after that. But he did win after that. So,
So
I
honestly,
don't know.
Manel Cape, I mean, he's really good. Khabib talks very highly of him. Like he trains over at AKA. He's had a few fights in the UFC now, and I mean, very promising start to his young career. Honestly, in my opinion,
Yeah, yeah, he trains at AKA Thailand, I believe, with Mike Swick. So yeah, the kid's a beast, and
he's a beast, and he's so young too.
I feel like the fight was pretty close prior to that. But that knockout, man, yeah, it was one of the best knockouts. But I would probably put Prochaska's knockout right above it. But this was just fantastic to watch. That flying knee, as you said, came out of nowhere, so it was beautiful, and I'm excited for this kid.
Definitely knockout of the year contender. I'll tell you that. All right, and then moving on to the prelims, to the regular prelims, we had Jessica Penne getting her hand raised against Karolina. I'm not even going to try to pronounce it, butcher her last name.
Go for it. Go
Karolina
for it.
K.
Let's hear it.
Kowalkiewicz. Hold up. Karolina Kowalkiewicz. There you go.
That sounds about right to me.
All right, practice makes perfect. But man, Karolina got her ass handed to her again. Jessica Penne did a good job. She got that submission at the end of the first round. Karolina, I mean, the girl has a lot of heart, but I don't know if MMA is the right sport for her. You know what I mean? She seems very nice, but she doesn't seem tough enough to be in there with some of the badass girls in the strawweight division at the UFC. I don't know. I feel like either she needs to really take a step down in competition and get her momentum back going, or maybe time to consider to pack those bags. You know what I'm saying? Because look, like I always say, this is not a sport where you can just kind of hang around and wait for your time to come around, because you will get your ass beat sometime in between. So good job,
I know we
Jessica Penne.
like I know we like to throw the pack your bags and head to where you came from, but let's give this girl another chance. It wasn't her night, but I'm not gonna tell her to pack her bags yet. I want to see a little bit more of her before I tell her to pack her bags and go wherever she came from. But until then, I do want to see a little bit more of her.
Look, man, she's currently on a 5-fight winning streak. She won 2 before that back to back, and then she lost another 2 back to back before that. So she's 12-7 now. She started off
Five
great.
fight losing streak, you mean? You said five fight winning streak.
Sorry, losing streak. Yeah. So originally she started off her career great. It was at 10-0. Then she had those 2 losses followed by 2 wins, and now she's on a 5-fight losing streak. I mean, she's losing to some great gals. I mean, she lost to Jessica Andrade, Michelle Waterson, Alexa Grasso, Claudia Gadelha, Joanna. So like these are the top of the division. But at the same time, if you're not trying to hang up there, hang with the best, like I don't know what to tell you, man.
Honestly, I didn't know it was 5 losses in a row, so I kind of take it back. She got to pack those bags, bro. 5 losses is a lot. I know she's fighting some of the best females in the world, but I didn't realize it was 5 losses. I mean, okay, let's give her one more chance.
Rose, though. Her Rose she beat in 2016, surprisingly, but you know that was a young Rose and that was a different time.
She's a good fighter. How old is she now? Do you know?
I can tell you right now, she is 35.
Yeah, I mean, she's also up there in age. I don't know what the UFC is gonna do, but with 5 fights in a row, I would imagine they would probably consider cutting her at this point. I feel like most fighters that lose 5 in a row, they're cut by the UFC unless they're like a huge name, like a Jeremy Stevens or something along those lines. But I don't know.
I feel like the UFC might be keeping her.
I kind of feel bad for her.
She is a name at the end of the day. Like, you know, people do know her. They may not think that highly of her, but they know who she is at the end of the day. And there's not that many women in strawweight. So maybe, you know, UFC might just need the bodies in there. So that might be one reason why they're keeping her in there. But yeah, she's not performing very well as of late, and she's not really ranked. I don't think she's ranked at all. So like realistically, she's not going to make it to a title probably by the end of her career. If she's just doing it for the love of the sport, you know, by all means, have a few more fights while you still can. But I don't know where her career goes from here, man. I mean, if it's just to cash in on a few more paychecks, then it is what it is. You know, good luck and hope you stay healthy. But decisions need to be made.
Maybe a little step down in competition, or she should maybe consider switching organizations. You know, UFC, she was once one of the baddest women in the world, not really anymore. And when that time comes, I feel like it's either you step down in competition or you pack your bags, go wherever you came from, or switch organizations. But I don't know, man. I was very high on this girl. That's what I said in the beginning. But 5 fights is 5 fights. I did not realize that. But yeah.
Next up, we had another great fight on the prelims. We had Alonzo Menefield versus Ed Herman. This, I think, should have been at least in the contention for fight of the night. These 2 guys were going at it. Ed Herman had a huge hematoma on his shin, and he tried as hard as he could to stand, but like he just couldn't. Alonzo Menefield just broke down that leg, kept sweeping him, and you know Herman just couldn't stand. There was a doctor that came to look at it right before the 3rd round began. You know, Herman tried to make it look like it's all right, try to walk it off, and then he just like fell over just from the pain. And you know, it was a good call to stop it by the doctor. Realistically, I don't think anything would have happened positively for Herman. I think he would have just continued to get hurt, maybe, you know, sustain even worse injury on his leg. But look, Alonzo Menefield's a savage, man. He put a beating on Herman. So yeah, good job, Alonzo. Hope to see you back in there soon. Ed Herman, fucking warrior, man. Heal up well, and we can't wait to see you back in there as well. Next up, we had Vince Morales getting a unanimous decision win against Drako Rodriguez. And to wrap up the prelims was, I know, one of our favorites. We had Bobby Green versus Rafael Fiziev. This fight was exciting, man. I've been speaking very highly of Fiziev for a long time. The guy's the Matrix. He's one of the highest level strikers I think we have in lightweight, if not the UFC overall. I mean, the guy's just a phenomenal kickboxer. But Bobby Green, man, he's a tough son of a gun as well. That man did not back down one bit. I was a bit surprised to see how low Bobby Green's hands were the entire fight. And I know it's his style. It wasn't just this fight. Bobby Green does naturally keep his hands lower. But against an opponent like Fiziev, I mean, I would assume you'd want to keep your hands up a little bit more. Both those guys went at it. Fiziev did a great job in the first 2 rounds, just completely dominating. But I was surprised to see how much he slowed down in the 3rd round. I don't know if it was a cardio issue, but to see him slow down. Issue. Yeah, to see such a drastic slowdown in the 3rd round was a little bit concerning to, for the future of his career.
Yeah, first off, Fiziev is an absolute monster. As you said, one of the best, I would say one of the best strikers in the UFC for sure. His striking is just phenomenal. As you said, he's like the Matrix. The first 2 rounds, he was putting it on Bobby Green. Beautiful combinations. Each shot he threw had so much force and so much bad intentions behind it. But the 3rd round, Bobby Green turned it up. I don't know if he won the round. Many people are saying that he won the round. But you know what's sad about this whole fight is that we're not talking about Fiziev right now. We're talking about the judges, how the judges messed up again, and that's sad because Fiziev did an outstanding job, as did Bobby Green. But I don't know. I feel like there are other fights that were way more controversial than this, where the judges fucked up a lot more. Fiziev, in the first couple of minutes of the last round, he was putting in good work. He did get tired, but I feel like it wasn't. I feel like the 3rd round wasn't a steal, But it is sad to see that we're talking about the judges as opposed to the such phenomenal fighters after such a fight like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's safe to say that Bobby Green got the 3rd round. Honestly, Fiziev slowed down and he just started taking a beating in the 3rd round. So I'm not upset that they gave Bobby Green the 3rd round. The 2nd round, though, could have almost been a 10-8 in my opinion. Fiziev was pretty close to just finishing Bobby Green. I don't know. I feel like a lot of the controversy was coming up like, oh, shoot, what if the judges messed this up? Like, what if, like, I don't think there was any mishandling on the scorecards, but in my opinion, Fiziev dominantly won the first 2 rounds, so there was no question there. Unless somehow you give Bobby Green a 10-8 at the last round and it becomes a tie, which is impossible. I don't know.
I don't think there's no controversy in the decision. I think for the most part, most educated fans understand that Fiziev won the fight because he won the first 2 rounds. Yeah, what people are upset with is that the judges gave the 3rd round to Fiziev. And I know that John Anik posted something about that, basically saying like, if what he said basically is if he were to gather 100 second graders to watch that round, they would have figured out that Bobby Green won the 3rd round. And that's where most of the controversy lies. But that's what most people are upset about. I don't think it's about the decision overall. It's just that round and like what the judges were looking at. But as I said, I do believe that Bobby Green won the round, but I understand what people are upset about, but I just don't. I think there are other fights that had way worse decision than this that we weren't talking about. So
yeah, no, I agree. Thankfully, the right man won at the end of the day. But look, man, judging is a never-ending problem. I feel like until the MMA community breaks out from the boxing commission and they have their own set of referees and judges and like just structure, I feel like this is going to be an ongoing problem indefinitely.
I mean, we talk about judging all the time. I feel like we had several segments on judging alone, but as we said previously, they should hire former fighters, practitioners of the sport, people that learn the sport, maybe just study it. Maybe they don't even have to fight, but they have to understand the sport. And I don't know what some of these judges are looking at. And it's kind of sad because these fighters, they put it all on the line. They go through some gruesome training camps. They literally put their life on the line when they walk into that octagon, and having the judge give them the wrong decision. They don't make a lot of money as is. Like, at least get the judging right. It's not that hard. It's not one of the hardest jobs, as a lot of people like to say. It's a tough job, but it's not the hardest job. And they should have gave that round to Bobby Green as he deserved.
I agree. But most importantly, before we move on, Fiziev had the best call out of the evening, if not of all time. He called out Hasbulla at the end of the fight, saying, "Hasbulla, if you want the money fight, I'm right here." I thought that was hilarious. Fiziev is from Kyrgyzstan, which is, the Russian culture and Kyrgyz culture is similar. So there's a lot of overlap. But, I thought that was a hilarious way to end up the prelims. That had me dying.
Yeah, I feel like that's one of the first fighters to bring up Hasbulla. I know he's been like viral on the MMA pages on Instagram, Twitter, and all that. But It's the first time I believe that a fighter called out Hasbulla. That was definitely hilarious.
One
But
more.
but he also did call out Islam Makhachev. Well, he didn't call him out. He basically said that he's not impressed with Islam Makhachev's performances and his fighting style, basically saying that Islam Makhachev likes to hug the crotch or sniff the crotch, whatever Conor McGregor likes to call it. And he's not a fan of that. I was kind of surprised to hear him say that.
Yeah, I mean, look, those two guys I think would be a big fight at lightweight. Personally, I feel like if you wait maybe a year, maybe Islam will have the belt by then. I feel like if you get that fight when both of them are just ranked a little bit higher, you can build that fight up to be a main event because their styles, I think stylistically, it's just an amazing matchup. We have a high-level striker in Fiziev, and then we have a very well-rounded Islam. Obviously, more comfortable on the ground, but his striking is great as well. Both of them are from a similar part of the world where all it is the grind and work until you make it to the top. So I'm excited for that.
Motherfuckers, bro.
Hell yeah, man! I think Islam is a little bit better, at least as of right now. Especially seeing the way that the cardio slowed down for Fiziev in the third round, that got me really concerned. But I think just stylistically, it's an amazing matchup.
Yeah, in terms of MMA, I would have to say Islam is definitely more well-rounded. He's good at wrestling, he's good in striking, he's good in literally everything. Every facet of the game, Islam is good in. But Fiziev, that striking, that doesn't matter. That he could land that one punch, and we've seen Islam get knocked out before. So like it's very possible, and like that's a very intriguing matchup because as you said, two fighters coming from similar part in the world have similar, I guess, in a way, lifestyles. And that'll definitely be a fucking firework fight.
I don't know if you listened to the post-fight press conference, but he actually made a few more jokes there as well. So he had a few fights in the Apex where he said it was like having sex with a condom on, and now with the fans, it's like having sex with no condom, which I thought was an amazing analogy.
It was definitely funny. He's a funny guy. He's a funny character, and his hat. His hat is also my grandpa wears that type of hat. So
that shit looks expensive.
Yeah, it's I'm not sure what it's made of. It looks like wool, maybe
mink or something. It's some nice fur. It's not just some basic wool.
Yeah, if I get you that hat for your birthday, you're gonna wear it
every podcast, man.
Dead ass,
bro.
All right, let's make it happen then.
All right, so moving on to the main event. To start it off, we had Song Yadong versus Kasey Kenny. Another fight that, in my opinion, could have been fight of the night contender. These two dogs were going at it. Man, what'd you think of this fight?
Song Yadong, first thing I have to say about him, the kid's 23 years old. Whew. Kasey Kenny, nothing foul to say about him. He put up a very good fight. I believe the difference in the fight was the striking. Song Yadong did land more. The output by Kasey Kenny was very heavy, but he wasn't landing a lot. He was missing a lot. But Song Yadong did what he had to do. Beautiful striking, beautiful performance, and at such a young age. Imagine what he could do when he's 4 or 5 years older in his prime. He's still a child in a way. He's not fully developed. And once he gets developed, once he gains more experience, he's going to be a scary dude, man.
Yeah, look, he won a split decision, but he outstruck Kasey Kenny 121 total strikes to 85. It was a close decision, and honestly, I wouldn't have been completely upset if it went the other way, but I think the right man won here again. Kasey Kenny, shout out to USA Judo, former, I guess, competitor of ours. We used to compete in the same circuit. But look, Kasey Kenny still has time to turn it back. He's been in a few good fights lately. I feel like he needs to just polish up his striking a bit more and make a few adjustments. And I think he can definitely have a solid potential in this division going forward. But look, Song Yadong was the better man that night.
Yeah, so now he's on a 2-fight losing streak. And to be fair, it was to Dominic Cruz and now to Song Yadong. Two high-level fighters. So I'm not going to put too much stock into this, but I definitely was impressed by him. He does need to polish up his striking a little bit if he wants to compete with some of the best in the world, but still very, very hungry, very aggressive, and very tough guy. I'm excited to see what's left in his career. Yeah, so next match I know is one of your favorites, Angela Hill versus Tecia Torres, the rematch. Tecia Torres won the fight in 2015 by unanimous decision, and she did so once again. A very back and forth fight. Very explosive fight, but Tecia Torres did what she had to do, landed the better strikes, got the takedown, and won once again. So we know who the better fighter is. What did you think of the fight?
So I was very surprised to see that Angela Hill started the fight with a takedown. If you guys saw these ladies' first matchup, Tecia Torres won pretty much the entire fight due to her grappling and takedowns and just controlling Angela Hill on the ground. This fight, Angela Hill was the one utilizing her wrestling more. But Tecia Torres, look, man, I said Tecia Torres is a tough girl. I had a lot of stock in her going into this fight. I don't think very highly of Angela Hill, mostly because of how overhyped I think she is. She's now 13-10. And every time she gets one win, people are like, when is she getting a title shot? When is she getting a title shot? She's not getting a title shot until she becomes a consistent winner, in my opinion.
She's like, she has almost as many losses as she has wins.
She's like very close to Artem Lobov, GOAT status. You know what I mean?
Yeah, her, James.
Look, she's a great gal. She's a very pleasant girl and everything, but she was talking a lot of shit to Tecia Torres. She was calling her out. She was saying how Tecia was ducking her and she didn't want to fight her. So Tecia Torres, thank you for shutting that mouth up.
Let me just give the audience a little backstory of where Eric's. I don't know. Do you dislike her, or what's your feelings towards her?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like she just overhyped. That's all it is.
Eric's unimpressed by her. So where this, I don't know if it started here, but she posted a video basically demonstrating whose technique was it? Dominic Cruz's?
No, it was her and Dominic Cruz demonstrating. It was some striking technique.
She posted a video basically demonstrating. Oh, Israel Adesanya's technique prior to the Costa fight. And you, as you usually do, commented something on Instagram basically saying what gives her the audacity to make videos like this when she could barely fight.
No. That's not what I said. Was how does she have the audacity to correct the striking of such a high-level striker when she herself is not a great striker? That's what I said.
Yeah, so that's where all this stems from. I would have to agree with you. She's not the greatest fighter, but she's well-rounded. She wins one, she loses. She wins some, she loses some.
Yeah, she's not okay. A bad fight. She's just not as good as she's made out to be, and that's what bothers me.
Yeah, and also I believe that she's regressing a little bit. Once upon a time, she was the Invicta champion. I don't know how much stock you want to put into that either, but she's okay. I would like to see her continue fighting. But Tecia Torres, man, great job for him. Great job for her. Tough win for her, and I'm excited for her.
Same, man. Very well-deserved win for Tecia Torres. I'm very happy for her. Moving on, we had another great submission. Another very surprising fight. We had Michael Chiesa losing via submission to Vicente Luque. This fight, man, this was an exciting fight. So some back and forth. We had Luque doing well on the ground. Michael Chiesa was keeping his distance. And then the fight went to the ground. Chiesa went in for a submission or two. And before we know it, Vicente Luque slipped in his own, I believe it was a Darce choke, 3.5 minutes into the first round and tapped Michael Chiesa. And the reason this is so surprising, if you guys don't realize, so Vicente Luque, he's very well-rounded, but he's primarily a striker. And Chiesa is very well known for his submission and ground game. So if either fighter was ending in a submission, I feel like most of the money in the house went towards Chiesa winning by submission. But Vicente Luque, man, very happy for him. Very good win.
Luque said prior to the fight that he's going to surprise the world with his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and he said he's going to surprise Michael Chiesa, and he did so. I thought he was doing very well. He knocked down Michael Chiesa early in the first round. Michael Chiesa was able to get back up, and then Michael Chiesa had a submission secured, which he lost, and then somehow Vicente Luque escapes, finds his neck, and chokes him out, which was absolutely insane.
Crazy.
I didn't see the fight live because, as I mentioned, I was at a party. But when I saw the result, I'm like, what the hell? What did I just miss? Yeah, it's absolutely insane. I don't know how people are talking about him fighting Kamaru Ousmane. I know Kamaru Ousmane went on social media saying that, I don't know, he deserves it or whatever. I don't know how that fight is going to go for him. But great victory.
No man is getting that title shot before Leon Edwards. Stop the bullshit. Leon gets the next title fight. Okay, look, so I think the fight with Vicente Luque versus Ousmane would have been all right if the top of the division was so backlogged. We have Covington fighting Ousmane, which is a great matchup. I just wish Covington had at least one fight since their last matchup. We have, who else is in the top of that division right now? Hold on. We have Gilbert Burns, which I think would be a great matchup for Luque, but I believe they may be teammates, if I'm not mistaken. Leon Edwards, the man deserving of the title shot more than anyone else in the division. Stephen Thompson, I think, would be – they fought, actually. Vicente Luque and Wonder Boy, and Wonder Boy got the better of Luque that night. So, look, a few people, in my opinion, ahead of Vicente Luque, but, look, one more big win against a top-5 guy, and I think you can't deny him.
No, you definitely can't deny him, but I'm saying in terms of matchup, it's going to be hard to imagine him beating Kamaru Usman. But,
I don't
it's
think it's
also
gonna
really
happen.
hard to imagine him submitting Michael Chiesa, which he did. So Vicente Luque had a rough beginning to his MMA career, but as of late, he's been doing very, very well. And I don't know, maybe he could surprise the world, and I don't know what I'm talking about. But Kamaru Usman is a little bit out of his league.
I agree with you. I think Usman is just a different animal. Look, maybe he'll put up a tough fight, but realistically, I don't see how Vicente Luque beats him. Usman's a much powerful striker. Usman's a much more advanced grappler. Maybe he can surprise us, but very unlikely in my opinion.
So for the co-main event of the evening, we had a really exciting one. The Rio de Janeiro King, Jose Aldo, was taking on Pedro Munhoz. An exciting fight. Jose Aldo did what he does best and got his hand raised. What did you think of the fight?
Dude, although still has it, man. I was a little bit nervous if maybe he's getting a little bit old. Maybe the level of competition is starting to surpass him. But dude, he's still in there, man. And honestly, what surprised me the most is the change of his style. He wasn't as kick heavy as we've seen him through most of his career. First of all, Aldo's speed throughout his entire career, including this past Saturday, just phenomenal. Like his hand speed, his leg speed is just insane. But I saw him focus a lot more on his boxing, and on the broadcast, I actually heard the commentator say that in this camp he was focused very heavily on boxing. We saw the kicks go a little bit towards the end of the fight, but like I said, I'm just a bit surprised that he was hand heavy and still did so well.
Yeah, dude, he put on a clinic, I would say. He won, I believe, all 3 rounds. The output was beautiful. We saw I would say the old and more improved Jose Aldo. Pedro Munhoz, I wouldn't consider him one of the best in the division, but he's still a very tough guy.
Very.
But Jose Aldo, he fought very smart. He fought tactically. He was able to avoid getting hit a lot. So I'm excited for him. As you said, Jose Aldo is back. And I'm looking forward to what he has in store for the remainder of his career because, he's been around for so long, but he's still such a young guy. And he's been calling out Cody Garbrandt as of late, which is a very exciting fight to me. Cody Garbrandt, huge name. I believe that'll be a really exciting fight. Both phenomenal strikers. And I don't know how Cody's chin is going to hold up with Savage Jose Aldo.
Yeah, I think that fight is a great fight to make. I mean, we have Jose Aldo, who still looks good as a legend, and we have Cody Garbrandt, another former champion. Both guys still trying to get another shot at a new belt. I think it's a fight to make. I don't see why not. Cody, as long as he's healthy and able to go, I think give Aldo maybe a month or two to recover, however long he needs. But I don't think he took any serious damage in this fight. Like you said, Pedro Munhoz is a tough guy, not the best in the division. So I'm glad that Jose Aldo's got another W on his resume. But look, bantamweight is stacked, man. Aldo, as of right now, I'm looking at the UFC rankings, is ranked number 5. Above him, you have Rob Font, Cody Sandhagen, Dillashaw, and Peter Yan, the champ, Aljo. So, look, I think Cody's a good fight. Cody's number 6. I think number 5, number 6 matchup. The winner of that fight can potentially fight the winner of Yan versus Sterling. So, I think one more win. So, yeah, I think if Cody versus Aldo was to happen, I think one big win for either one of those guys could potentially be a title shot for the bantamweight belt.
Yeah, that fight would really get me excited. But another fight that would really get me excited, I would really love to watch Jose Aldo fight is T.J. Dillashaw, another legend in the division, a guy that's beaten Cody decisively twice. Definitely the better man, the better fighter. So if not Cody Garbrandt, I would love to see him fight T.J. Dillashaw. 2 amazing fights to make. And I feel like Jose Aldo would stand and bang with both of them. So I don't think we could count out Jose Aldo just yet.
I feel like Aldo would probably beat Cody, but I feel like TJ Dillashaw would just be too much for Aldo. I feel like his volume, the speed, I guess both guys have phenomenal speed, but I feel like Aldo's speed is better. But I feel like maybe I could be wrong, but I feel like TJ Dillashaw is a bit more tactical and technical in his striking. Unfortunately, though, he does seem like he's going to have some kind of knee, I don't know if it's surgery or recovery, so he's going to be out, I'm assuming, for at least 6 months. I would like to see Aldo get in there sooner, but a matchup with TJ and Aldo, I definitely think would be a banger.
Yeah, the dude's still doing it. The WEC champion, the UFC champion, The dude went undefeated for, I believe, 8 to 9 years. That was one of our trivia questions this week. And I'm just gonna give us a quick shout out to our Instagram, Inside the Clinch MMA. Weekly polls and trivia available on our Instagram. So follow us, interact with us, engage with us. But yeah, man, definitely some great fights to make.
All right, man. But moving on to the main event of the evening, we had the heavyweights fight. We had Ciryl Gane defeating Derrick Lewis via KO at the end of the third round. Houston's own, man. Unfortunately, Derrick Lewis lost in his hometown, resulting in the new interim champ, Ciryl Gane, to get booed out of the arena, which is always sad to see. But what did you make of the fight?
Him getting booed out of the arena wasn't really too sad for me to see, because just the way he handled the whole thing, I thought was phenomenal. From his walkout, where he played Derrick Lewis's song, where as he was walking out, the fans thought that it was Derrick Lewis, but it was in fact Ciryl Gane. But the one thing that really surprised me about
before you continue, I just thought that was hilarious because once the music came on, the arena started cheering, thinking it was Derrick, and then once they saw Ciryl walking out, they just started booing, which was so fucked up, man.
I mean, it was Derrick Lewis' hometown. Like,
yeah, I get it.
It's expected that. I don't think it's anything against Ciryl Gane, but it's expected in such in a person's backyard. Like, what else would you expect from that team? But yeah, what I was gonna say is that I was really surprised with the fans with this fight, because I don't understand how so many fans thought that Derrick Lewis was gonna win the fight. I understand that Derrick Lewis packs a heavy punch. He has the most knockouts and whatever. He's definitely a very hard hitter. But when you're fighting someone like a Ciryl Gane, he's so technically good. The way he moves on his feet, the way he comes in and out, he's so technically good. I just don't see what the fans or the betting odds were saying.
So admittedly, I had a little bit of money on Derrick Lewis this weekend just because of the odd discrepancy. Look, we know Derrick Lewis has that one knockout punch power, so that's kind of what I was banking on. But there's no argument that Ciryl is a much higher level striker. As I mentioned from the beginning of the show, I feel like this entire card was just so fast paced and exciting. And then we kind of got to this fight and it was a little bit more of a slow fight. Ciryl Gane was taking his time at the distance. You know, as we've seen him do time and time again, he starts picking his opponent apart from a distance, which is a great game plan. You know, he's able to do so without getting hit much, which in the heavyweight division means a lot. You know, one punch from most of the contenders and that could be lights out. In my opinion, once we get to the third round, at least to the second half of the third round, it looked like Derrick Lewis kind of just mentally gave up. It looked like he didn't want to be in there anymore. He just kind of started to cover up and bend over, and he didn't really fight back. He kind of just took the beating until the referee stopped it, in my opinion. Which, look, I know it's a tough fight. Obviously, Ciryl Gane's a scary motherfucker to be in the cage with, but, I mean, you're in there already, man. It's a bad look, especially in your own hometown. You're the main event. I was a little disappointed.
You know, listen, I think he realized that he was throwing punches and it wasn't landing. And I'll give you an example. Maybe you could understand this. But like when we were training judo, you know, and we would go against somebody that's a lot better than we are, you know, it's like, all right, whatever, like just, I can't beat you. So like, just throw me or do whatever you want to me, you know? And I feel like that's kind of similar to what Derrick Lewis was experiencing. He started the sport of MMA when he was 25 years old. His striking is nowhere near Ciryl Gane's level. Everything that he was hitting, he didn't land a punch for several minutes to begin the fight. So I believe that threw him off. That kind of frustrated him. And Ciryl Gane is just outstanding, man. And just seeing somebody his size move around like that is phenomenal. And the heavyweight division is in trouble, man, because that guy's legit.
Yeah. So the final strike count was 112 strikes against 16 strikes. So a striking clinic from Ciryl Gane. And, you know, I got to say, man, this interim title could not have gone to a more humble fighter, more just pleasant individual. I feel like from start to finish, the pre-fight press conference, the post-fight press conference, just everything about Ciryl Gane is pleasant. He's happy to be there. He's happy to share the experience with everyone. It's very pleasant when you're hearing, you know, things coming out, like just genuinely just positive things coming from a champ. Now, I got to say, the next fight is obviously clear what has to be made. Francus Ngannou versus Ciryl Gane. These two guys, if you don't know, used to be training partners over in France. And Francus has since moved on out of that gym, but Ciryl Gane is still there. We've seen some leaked footage of their sparring sessions. And as you've mentioned in the past, it's a sparring video, so you can't read too much into it. But Ciryl Gane was touching Francus a lot more than Francus was touching Ciryl. Ciryl was moving around a lot more. Francis was kind of just swinging, whereas you can kind of see Ciryl making space, moving, using the angles. So again, Ciryl, I think, is a much more technical and more developed striker, but Francis Ngannou, you only need that one punch.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely discrepancy in technique. Ciryl Gane is just on another level. But something that you brought up earlier about Ciryl Gane and how he appears like such a nice guy. So we were watching the fight yesterday with my brother's fiance, and she said that she knows nothing about the sport, and she saw Derrick Lewis. She's like, "Wow, that guy's a scary guy." And then she sees Ciryl Gane, and she's like, "Wow, he looks like such a nice dude." You know, his aura is like he's a bad motherfucker, but
Hell
like
yeah.
just like his image, the way he acts, the way he presents himself is just so pleasant. And as you said, couldn't have gone to a better fighter. In terms of the fight with Francis Ngannou, there's leaps and bounds in terms of technique, as I mentioned, but Francis Ngannou was just a different type of specimen. But Ciryl Gane did open up as the favorite, which did surprise me.
Really?
Uh,
I might put some
yeah,
money on that line.
yeah. I mean, I'm probably gonna go with Ciryl Gane on this one.
Against
I think
Francis? Really?
I'm gonna go with Ciryl Gane because yes, Francis does pack a punch, but I feel like Ciryl Gane is not gonna be in the way of any of those punches. He moves around he's too fast. I feel like he's not gonna get hit.
Francis is bigger than him, though. There's no one really the size of Francis in the division. So, as big as Derrick Lewis is, Ciryl was a bit bigger than him, but Francis is bigger than both of those guys, as we see.
Francis is huge. Honestly, I kind of take it back. I don't know if I want to go
Bro,
against
I don't
Francis.
know. If
Ciryl
the
Gane
opening
is
odds, if the opening odds have Francis as the underdog, dude, I might put a small bet on that. I mean, it's fucking Francis, bro.
He's a slight Ciryl Gane is a slight favorite, but this is kind of mind-boggling because Francis hasn't opened up as the underdog, I believe, since one of his fights with Curtis Blades. So Ciryl Gane is people are starting to recognize this guy. Before this, he only had 150,000 followers. I'm not sure how many followers he has now, but I'm sure the world is aware of Ciryl Gane after UFC 265.
So Ciryl Gane is now 7-0 in the UFC, and I believe 10-0 overall in his career. So great start to his fighting career. The dude is just, like I said, he's pleasant, he's humble, he's talented. He has a very positive future. Like you said, heavyweights, they better watch the hell out, man. He got a new force in the division.
Yeah, there's actually an interesting stat that I saw. So basically, Ciryl Gane was able to capture the heavyweight title in just 30 more days than the GOAT himself, John Jones. So
I don't know. I saw that, but that's an interim belt, and that's not a real belt. And Francis, it's not like Francis is injured or Francis is out. In my opinion, I mean, good job to Ciryl Gane for winning the belt, but this is not a real belt. This is not a real interim belt. There's been a few of these instances.
It's a number one contender belt.
100% agreed. I feel like lately for the UFC, they feel like they're obligated to have a title fight in each pay-per-view, which is why they made the BMF belt, which is why they made Khabib's belt. He had an interim title fight with Gaethje and Poirier, I believe. I mean, look, if the fighter is not out, they're just giving out these interim belts like it's nothing. There needs to be a legit reason. Otherwise, you just need to call it a number one contender fight and just winner fights the champ.
In terms of, you mentioned Khabib and Poirier and Gaethje. In terms of that, I kind of understood that because Khabib was out for a certain period of time.
That was different. That was his father passed. That was a longer thing.
That was a little different, but this was a little bit weird because I don't know what Dana White's problem is, but why did he was asked about Francis afterward, and he said that he has no hard feelings towards Francis, but I just don't understand what made this decision of making the interim title when we have Francis Ngannou that wants to fight, that is healthy. Why are we having an interim title? Why are we upsetting our heavyweight champion of the world? One of the best heavyweights to ever do it, honestly.
Dude, there's a lot of athletes, like we know this about Khabib, about Ousmane, about Francis. They're so good. It was hard for them to get fights in order to get to the title. But I was hoping now that Francis is, holding the belt, he would be able to have a fight every other month, every 2 months, 3 months. He's one of those guys that barely gets scratched when he walks in there. He can have a quick turnaround for the title. So I'm baffled that Dana didn't, he could have done Lewis and Gane, I think, in the time that Francis has been sitting. I mean, Francis is, I don't know. I feel like Dana, I don't know if it's personal. I don't know if it's the team, if there's like a disagreement, but it just looks like there's a lot of friction there, and it's sad.
There's a lot of good things to say about Dana White. He's done a lot for the sport. You know, he made the sport what it is today. He's also a really powerful figure and like an inspiration to a lot of people. But like this decision and his decision to have a rough relationship with some of his best fighters is just, it surprised me. Like, why are you not friends with John Jones? Why are you not friends with Francus Ngannou? You know, the list goes on and on and on. Like, why do you have such a bad relationship with all your best fighters? Like, pay them.
To be fair, we don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but yeah, man, you're not wrong. For your best athletes, you should definitely try to build the best relationship possible. But yeah, man, it is what it is.
It's like a ongoing theme. Every single month we have somebody that's upset at Dana White for not paying them, for saying something dirty about them, for talking shit about them. Like, there's, as I said, there's lots good to say about Dana White, but in terms of that, it's kind of annoying to see the best athletes not getting treated the way they're supposed to, you know?
Yeah, I agree. So guys, this was UFC 265, but before we conclude this card, I just wanted to touch on something that kind of bothered me over this weekend at UFC 265. So we had Juliana Pena show up at the press conference, kind of harassing Dana White about getting her fight rescheduled against Amanda Nunes. First of all, I think she was out of her mind to call Nunes out in the first place. Second, I thought it was strange as hell that she showed up to the press conference when, dude, you know Amanda Nunes has COVID. She's recovering from COVID and she's not training and the whole thing is postponed. That fight is set. No one is giving Amanda a different shot. I don't think anyone was offering Juliana Pena another shot. So she showed up to the pre-fight press conference, the post-fight press conference. Like, does she have a death sentence or something? I don't understand.
I don't know, but Dana was able to shower her though.
OD. He did a good job doing it too.
He showered her. He basically said like, yo, girl, don't talk to me like that. Like, I run shit here, not you.
That ass though, like who she thinks she is. Like, I don't know. That kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I hope Amanda Nunes shuts her the hell up because this girl is just
and it's going to happen.
Tree. She's barking up the wrong tree. All right, guys. So that was it for UFC 265. It was a great card, in my opinion, from top to bottom. There's no UFC event this week, but I'll let you guys know about some of the events that we have coming up this weekend. If you guys ever need an MMA calendar to keep up with the MMA events, please visit insidetheclinch.com/events. We update it regularly with all the different organizations, MMA, boxing, bare knuckle. So it's a great resource if you guys ever need to keep up with your MMA events. But this Friday, we have Bellator 264, which I am gladly going to be in attendance for. Mousasi versus Salter. I'm really excited for that fight. We also have PFL playoffs. The welterweights and lightweights will be on the 13th as well. And so will one championship. It's going to be 141. Then on Saturday, we're going to have Triller boxing. We have Teofimo Lopez defending his belt against Campos Jr. So we got some nice action going on this weekend. PFL, Bellator, one championship. If you guys are able to watch that, and a little bit of Triller. This time they got some real boxers. Hopefully not the whole Justin Bieber fanboy show, but I think it's a quiet but exciting weekend of fights. So the week after, on the 19th, we're going to have, the PFL playoffs, the women's lightweights, and we're going to have the heavyweights. On the 20th, we're going to have Bellator 265, Czech Congo versus Karitanov. And on the 20th as well, we're going to have BKFC 20. On the 21st, we're going to have UFC Fight Night Cannonier versus Gastelum. And on the 21st, we also have Manny Pacquiao taking on Errol Spence Jr. I feel like that's one of the fights that's kind of been going under the radar, but Manny Pacquiao is fighting again. Just boxing legend, boxing superstar. I mean, you better have something really important to be doing if you're mixing that fight.
Yeah, a lot to look forward to, as you just mentioned. So many great events coming up. But on the topic of Manny Pacquiao, before we wrap up, I don't know if you heard, but they asked him about the fight with Conor McGregor, and he said that he's not interested in that fight because he wants to fight the best fighters in the world. And Conor McGregor is no longer that. So I thought that was kind of interesting, and good job, Manny Pacquiao, because you got to put Conor McGregor in his place sometimes, man.
Hell yeah, what a better man to do it than Manny Pacquiao. Good shit.
Yeah, but so many exciting fights, so many exciting cards coming up. We're going to have it here, breaking everything down for you each week. So stay tuned, guys. Thank you so much for listening. And Eric, wrap it up for us, please.
Thank you guys for catching us for round 36 of Inside the Clinch. Later this week, we will be joined by Miranda Maverick. So stay tuned and keep a lookout for that. And as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment on our social medias. On Instagram, we are Inside the Clinch MMA. On Twitter, we are ITC MMA Podcast. And on Facebook and YouTube, we are Inside the Clinch MMA Podcast. Thank you guys. Catch you next week.